So, welcome to Jumbo IS and welcome to our lecture series called Daily News in Shorts. In this lecture series, we cover a particular day's current affairs in a very short span of time within 30 minutes. Now, the idea is that you get to cover your current affairs on a daily basis, but you don't have to spend your entire day just reading the newspaper. Therefore, we will cover the entire day's current affairs, all important news items within 30 minutes. Now, just watching this lecture would be job half done, because just after watching it, you need to revise it as well. Why? Well, revision helps in consolidating these current affairs in your memory. Otherwise, you'll quickly forget them. Now, you can revise these current affairs from the notes provided by us, and these notes shall be shared on our Telegram platform. The link to our Telegram channel is provided in the comment section below this lecture. Alright then, let's begin today's session. But first, let's take a look at the list of topics that we shall cover today. So, number one among this list is surface to air air defense systems. You must have been following what was happening between India and Pakistan, and we basically deterred Pakistan from entering India's airspace because of our air defense systems. So, what is this air defense system? We will talk about this. Then, recently, India and UK concluded a free trade deal, right? We talked about it in the previous lecture. But in that free trade deal, there is ambiguity when it comes to UK applying carbon tax on Indian imports or goods coming from India. India says that if UK applies carbon tax, which is also known as carbon border adjustment mechanism in Europe, if this is applied, then India would retaliate with higher tariffs. Okay, so we'll understand what this carbon border adjustment mechanism is. Then, as you all know, that India and Pakistan concluded a ceasefire. So, what is ceasefire? Okay, is it different from peace treaty? We'll talk about this. And in the end, we'll talk about Operation Sindoor trademark, because a few companies, including Reliance Industries, tried to take a trademark on the symbol of Operation Sindoor, maybe for different purposes. Okay, so we'll talk about trademarks. Clear? So these are the four topics that we shall zero in our attention on. So let's start discussing them one by one, starting with surface to air air defense system. So India's flagship surface to air missile systems, S-400, Barak-8, medium range surface to air missiles, and Akash system. Okay, it is believed that India used these three missile defense systems to prevent Pakistani UAVs, that is drones, and fighter jets to enter India. Okay, it played a key role as the Indian Air Force activated its integrated counter UAS, unmanned aerial system grid. So, integrated counter UAS grid is the entire air defense system against drones. Okay, so this grid contains S-400, Barak, Akash, okay, and other air defense system to thwart the attacks by Pakistan on 15 military bases and several cities Thursday. Clear? Now we'll discuss each of these missile systems one by one, and then we'll try to understand what this grid is all about. Clear? So first of all, S-400. So it is a missile system, which is a surface to air long range missile system, and it was created by Russia, and India procured it from Russia. It was given to Indian Air Force, and Indian Air Force has renamed it as its Sudarshan Chakra. Okay. Now S-400 has a range up to 400 kilometers and can hit aerial objects at the height of 30 kilometers. That's quite a lot. Plus, the best part is that one S-400 system can hit 36 targets simultaneously. That is a big advantage. Now, it has four different types of missiles that can be fired from each silo. Okay, each missile is of different range. Each missile is of different range. Okay, one missile can be of 100 kilometers, the second can be of 200, and so on and so forth. It can protect against aircraft bombers, fighter jets, spy planes, missiles, drones, everything. Then we had Barak-8 medium range surface to air missile. It was jointly developed by India and Israel. It defends against any type of airborne threat. Okay, range is 70 kilometers. That's why we call it medium range. And these were recently inducted in all three services. Then one missile defense system is India's very own, and that is Akash. It is short range. Okay, so S-400 long range, Barak medium range. This is short range surface to air missile system to protect vulnerable areas and points from air attacks. Developed by DRDO. Range is from 4.5 to 25 kilometers, as it is short range. Okay, And altitude range, basically that means at till what height it can reach, 100 meters to up to 20 kilometers. Clear? So these are the missiles that are used to intercept incoming enemy aerial objects. Okay, but the entire system of detecting aerial objects through radars and then hitting them is known as integrated counter UAS grid. So it is a comprehensive defense mechanism designed to first detect, then track these drones or missiles, then identify them, and then neutralize or hit them through S-400 or Barak or Akash Tir missiles. Okay. The systems employ a combination of technologies like radar, radio frequency sensors, cameras, acoustic detectors to monitor airspace. When a threat is identified, this platform, this grid can deploy various countermeasures. Now, it's not just that every time there is a drone that comes into India, we launch a missile. Okay, there are other ways also. You can jam their signals so that they can't be controlled. You can spoof their GPS locations, or you can hit them through kinetic measures. Kinetic measures mean S-400 Barak missile defense systems. Okay, so signal jamming and GPS spoofing is non-kinetic, and kinetic means hitting them through missiles. Clear? So this was the grid that was deployed by the Indian Air Force to protect against any air intrusion by Pakistan. All right. Now let's move forward to second news item, which is carbon border adjustment mechanism. Now recently India and UK concluded a free trade agreement. Okay, but India has warned that if UK applies carbon tax on Indian goods, okay, then it would retaliate with higher tariffs for British goods coming into India. Okay, because this carbon tax has not been decided upon despite this free trade deal. Okay, it was alleged that UK won't apply carbon tax on Indian goods. Okay, it was said that in this FTA, whose text is yet to come, okay, text is yet to come. So people said that carbon tax won't be applied, but if it is applied, India would retaliate. Okay, now India says that this carbon tax is already applied by European Union, and if UK introduces this carbon tax on India, well, India would retaliate. Okay, now in European Union it is called carbon border adjustment mechanism. So what is this carbon border adjustment mechanism? Okay, so it is a policy implemented by European Union to prevent carbon leakage by ensuring a level playing field for domestic and imported products. So what does that mean? So the thing is that let's suppose in European Union you need, let's suppose, a laptop. Okay? European consumers want to buy a laptop. Now this laptop can be manufactured in Europe itself, or it can be imported from India. The thing is that Europe applies severe climate restrictions on its manufacturers. Okay, so all factories in Europe have to take care of climate change, they have to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions, they are under severe climate restrictions. Okay, now because of these climate restrictions, the cost of producing this laptop in Europe goes up. So the final price of this laptop goes up. But in India, there are no such restrictions. So India can bring in this laptop into Europe at very cheap price. Yes. So Indian factories are getting an unfair advantage. Europe says that we are fighting against climate change and our industries are being penalized for it. Nobody would buy European laptops because they are expensive because Europe is fighting against climate change. Whereas India is not fighting against climate change. So India is getting rewarded for it. Right? So Europe said that any goods from India, okay, or anywhere else in the world, any goods that are imported into Europe, first you'll have to check how much carbon was emitted, in the production of that good, and then you will apply carbon tax on it, so that the final price of that laptop or any other good would be same as European good. Clear? That's their idea. So it aims to address concerns that European Union companies might shift production to countries with lower carbon cost. So what will happen if there is no CBAM in Europe? Then European companies would shift their factories in India. Okay, because, well, there are no carbon restrictions or climate change restrictions. Yes, and Europe would lose out. They would lose a lot of jobs. Clear? So it is for this purpose. So it covers cement sector, iron and steel, aluminium, fertilizer, electricity, and hydrogen. Clear? Now, India is dead against this. India says this is discrimination against developing countries. Okay, so what is the criticism leveled against CBAM? First of all, you're putting unequal burden on developing countries because developing countries are developing. They don't have enough money to transition to green technologies. But developed countries have that money. So they can easily shift to green technologies, whereas we can't. So why are you penalizing us instead of supporting us? Okay, so there is unequal burden on developing countries. Plus, in all climate deals, there is a principle called common but differentiated responsibilities. This principle says that for the last 200 years, okay, it was the developed countries that have polluted the most. Developing countries have started polluting now. But the greenhouse gas emitted for the past 200 years, well, the highest share is that of developed countries. They have caused global warming. So, any fight against climate change, okay, developed countries would have to take bigger responsibility. Clear? That is what we mean by common but differentiated responsibilities. Okay? Because developed countries are more guilty of polluting the environment for the past 200 years because they had industrial revolution and whatnot. Developing countries are just starting to industrialize now. But who has been polluting the environment for the past 200 years? It's the developed countries. So they should share the majority burden for fighting climate change. This is CBDR. And this carbon tax is against the principle of CBDR. Plus, if European Union and even UK applies this CBAM, then developing countries like India would retaliate. This would cause more trade wars. Plus, the biggest criticism is that how would you check how much carbon was emitted by a factory in India by producing one laptop? Okay, that would require a lot of data collection and reporting. And that is not, I mean, this is very difficult. So this is unfair. Okay, that is the case. Clear? All right, now let's move on to topic number 3, which is what is a ceasefire. So, as you know, India Pakistan recently concluded a ceasefire agreement. Both sides agreed that both sides will stop all firing and military action from land, air, sea. Question is, what is ceasefire? Does it mean that the war has ended, or is it a temporary arrangement? Okay, the answer is it is a temporary arrangement. Till the time we do not finalize any agreement, we will stop fighting with each other. This is what ceasefire means. The official definition says it is an agreement that seeks to regulate the termination of all military activity for a given length of time in a given area. So, in a given area, for specific periods of time, you won't perform any military activity. So, as India and Pakistan have decided that they won't do any military activity against each other on the international border, okay, and the time is not mentioned in this case, but the starting time was mentioned from 5 o'clock onwards yesterday, right? Ceasefires can be either formally documented or orally agreed upon, as the case with India and Pakistan. Now, if there is a written ceasefire agreement, then that ceasefire agreement should have following things. Okay, when would the ceasefire start? Definition of what constitutes violation of ceasefire. Basically, definition of what is not allowed. Firing of guns not allowed, firing of shells not allowed, missile attacks not allowed. Okay, everything should be written. You have to basically demarcate the ceasefire line also, which is currently in India LOC. Verification, supervision, and monitoring mechanism should be in place. Now, the thing is, as you must have heard, that last night Pakistan violated ceasefire. Okay, so what do we mean by ceasefire violation, and is it legally permissible? So, a ceasefire in itself or a breach of ceasefire does not have any legal consequences. So, there is no legal action against you if you breach a ceasefire. Okay, But the remedies for a breach of ceasefire are detailed in regulations respecting the law and customs of war on land, which is the Hague Regulation made in 1910. As per Article 36, it says that if there is no time period written in a ceasefire agreement, then you can break ceasefire agreement anytime because there was no time period mentioned. So India Pakistan ceasefire, if it was mentioned that India would hold ceasefire with Pakistan for 7 days, then you have to honor it. But if no time is mentioned, then you can violate this agreement, this ceasefire anytime, and there are no legal consequences on you. Okay. Moreover, a serious breach of a truce by one of the involved parties gives the other a right to denounce it. So, if anyone violates the ceasefire agreement, for example, Pakistan does, then India can also violate it. India is fully allowed under Article 40. So, basically, don't remember Article 36 or Article 40. Just remember that there are international rules with respect to ceasefire, and that is given in Hague Regulations. Just remember this word, Hague Regulations. Okay. And we'll move on to last topic of the day, which is Operation Sindoor Trademark. Okay, so a funny thing, a weird thing happened when this operation was going on, Operation Sindoor. Just a day after that, okay, the hostilities were mounting up between India and Pakistan. Reliance Industries and a few other companies applied for a trademark on this symbol of Operation Sindoor. Getting the trademark on this symbol would mean that that person who has the trademark for this symbol can use it anywhere and no one else can use it. It is his property now. So if Reliance Industry would have registered this trademark or bought this trademark, then Reliance Industry owns this trademark. Only Reliance Industry can use it officially. Maybe Reliance was producing a movie and for that they wanted to use this symbol. Okay. Later, Reliance Industries withdrew the application. Okay, that is not important for us. What is important is what is a trademark, okay, and how is it regulated in India. So, trademark is a legally protected symbol, design, word, or phrase. Symbol basically used to identify and differentiate goods and services from the others. The one who has a trademark on any symbol has the exclusive right of using it. Now, in India, trademarks are protected under Trademarks Act 1999 and Trademark Rules 2017. You have to register your trademark at Trademark Registry. This is the official organization for registering trademarks in India. Okay. Now, once you have registered your trademark, it would be valid for 10 years, but you can renew it unlimited number of times. Clear? Now, what are the advantages of having a trademark, this intellectual property right? It gives you exclusive rights, it gives your brand some differentiation, gives you legal protection. Plus, a strong trademark can significantly increase the value of your business. Basically, that's the idea. This is what I mean, if you have studied intellectual property rights, you know this already by now. All right. And on that note, I'll be signing off. Okay. On that note, we have covered today's current affairs. Now, I'm sure it has added value to your preparation, but it would add more value, like I say this every time, if you revise this lecture as well. So please do not forget to do that. And I'll see you next time with another set of news items. Thank you, everyone.